If you want to study abroad and get the funding that you need, these are the kind of schools you should apply to. Listen, in today's video, I'm going to share with you the right kinds of schools you should apply to in 2023. So you stop making that mistake of getting into schools and not getting funding. So let us jump right into it. Okay, the first type of school you should apply to are schools that offer really good funding to international students, okay? This is so important and I've talked about it a lot on this channel, but I do want to explain to you, my friend, because I see over and over people are still making these mistakes. You can figure out if a school offers good funding or not, but that is not enough. You need to figure out if they offer good funding to international students. That is the real information that you need. And how can you figure this out? There are a couple of ways. One is you can do an online search on Google and just type best schools in this field that offer good funding to international students. At the very least, you will get on these forums or places where people are discussing their experiences going to certain schools or the kind of schools that you're already considering. So you get a sense for how, like, which schools truly fund international students. That's one way. You can also get my list of fully funded programs and start from there. That just makes your life super easy. So I have templates in the description. Just click the link and get that list of 500 fully funded programs. Just start by applying to those schools that you already know offer funding. Don't waste your time. Another thing you can do is to ask friends, colleagues, people in your life that have studied abroad, and just ask them, how much funding did you get from this school? People are typically willing to share, especially if you have similar backgrounds or you're from the same country, things like that. Even if you don't know anyone, reach out to people on LinkedIn. Of course, if you reach out to people on LinkedIn, don't make that your first question, but you may say, hey, I'm considering this school. I see that you're an alum of that school. I want to get a sense for how funding works. Just put it that way. People respond. And if you send it to 30 people, you may get 5 responses, and that is okay. All right, the other kind of school you should apply to in 2023, schools that have quick decision dates or rolling applications sometimes, but I prefer schools that have quicker decision dates, and I will explain this to you and why this is a good choice for you. One is, usually when you apply to schools, some schools, let's say you applied in September, they'll tell you, we're going to get back to you on whether or not you got into the school in January. That's like how many months? October, November, December, that's like 3-4 months, and you're there waiting. We all know waiting is hard. Silence is hard. But the main reason why I don't like those schools that have very long review periods is by the time they get back to you in January, February, other schools that you could have applied to, their application deadlines would have passed or coming up, basically. That's why I really think you should have schools on your list that have quicker decision dates. Those are schools that if you apply in September, they're going to get back to you October 15. Those kind of schools that just have a 1-month review period, I love them, because even if you apply to 4 schools, say in September, you can tell by, you would know by, say, November 15, November 30th, you would know whether or not you got into those programs. And because you now know whether or not you got into those programs, you will also likely know how much funding you got from those schools. Now, you have all this information in November. So the implication of that is in November, did I get into this school? Did I get funding? If the answer is no to funding, oh, let me quickly apply to more schools before the end of December. And that is super helpful, because now you know what you have in front of you, and then you can apply to more schools and still get in that same year. And that's why I think a very good type of school for you to apply to, at least have them on your list, are schools that have very short review periods and that have quicker decision dates. Now, there are schools that have rolling applications, so that is also good. And what rolling applications mean would be that if you apply to this school, They will review your application first, and then if another person applies tomorrow, they review the application next, right? So they give people decisions, you know, as they go. They review as people submit. Unlike some schools, don't review. Many schools don't review as you submit. They wait till a specific date, you know, after receiving all applications by that date, then they start reviewing. So that's why many times you see some schools, the deadline to apply is September, but they don't get back to you until January. And that's because they wait for people to submit, you know, by a specific deadline before they review. So the next kind of school that you should apply to are schools that have partnerships with loan providers. Listen, a lot of people think, oh, if I don't get funding, maybe I'll just use a loan. But let me break the news to you, okay? The main thing is, if you are an international student without a co-signer, you have only 2 or 3 options. Most loan providers don't provide loans to international students without co-signers. That's something you should know. Whether you're in the UK or you're planning to go to the UK, to the US, to Canada, this is the case. If you don't have a co-signer, you likely have 2 to 3 options to choose from. Now, another point that I want you to understand, my friend, is that a lot of student loan options that are available to international students, they only work with specific schools. If you go on Prodigy Finance's site, and the link is always in my description, you will figure out that Prodigy doesn't work with every school. They work with so many schools, but they don't work with every school. And within each school, they only work with specific programs. So you need to know that detail before you apply to a school. I always recommend to people, if you know there's a tiny chance, there's a 0.01% chance you will fund your education with loans, before you apply to any school, always make sure that school is a school that the loan providers work with. So another type of school that you should apply to this year are schools that don't require any form of financial information from you as part of the application process. Listen, I get it. Once you're applying, you know, and you get in and you're about to enroll, yes, the school should ask you for your financial information so they know that you can afford it. But as part of the application process, you haven't even applied to the school. If the school is asking you to attach a bank statement or to attach something from a sponsor, run away from that school. That is not the right school for you, because usually those schools are telling you that we do not have good funding for you. All right, that's it, my friend. If you found this video helpful, let me know. You know, show your girl some love in the comments. Let me know, and also like the video, give it a thumbs up, and subscribe to the channel, and I will see you in my next video.